world to destroy the miscreants, and to annihilate the miscreants, and to protect the sadhus, to liberate the sadhus. But here we read in this verse how it's being said that when the Lord saw that Duryodhana was killed, and the Duryodhana was lying there with his thighs broken, the Lord was not pleased. It's described that he was not happy. And this Duryodhana was the, you could say, the destroyer of so many, you could say, saintly people, soldiers. He was destroying dharma. So one would think that the Lord would be very happy. The Lord would be overjoyed by the fact that this happened. But here we see that the Lord is not overjoyed. The Lord is unhappy. And this shows Krishna's compassion. Krishna is so compassionate. When he punishes someone, he's doing that to rectify the person. When he punishes someone, he does that because there's no other recourse. He does that because he's obliged to do it. He does that because he is forced to do it. What can he do? He is simply trying to save the fallen conditioned souls, trying to save them. And we are so stubborn. We are so, obstinate, that out of the intensity or the desire to quickly bring us back to him, Krishna has to give us punishment to wake us up, to wake us up. And there's one very nice class by His Grace Indra Prabhu. Indra Prabhu is famous for his kirtan, but he also gave very nice classes. And they're on ISKCON Desire Tree. We can hear them, and very inspiring. And in that, His Grace Indra Prabhu, he says how Lord Krishna is actually in great separation from the living entities who are in this material world. That just like when a son leaves the home, the son is lost in pain and suffering, but the parents are suffering even more than the children. They're missing the children even more than the children are missing them. In the same way, Krishna is more anxious that we come back to him than we are anxious to go back to him. Krishna is lamenting out of separation from the living entity. Why? Why is he lamenting? Because every single one of us can do a service, can offer our love to Krishna in a way that no one else in the material world, in the world can. Every one of us is giving service to Krishna in such a way that that no other living entity can offer to Krishna, because every living entity is fully unique. All of us are unique. We are all. This is the Atma. We're not carbon copies of each other. We all have a special way, a special desire, in which we can offer our heart, offer our service to the Lord. And this is the beauty of the living entity. That every living entity has a special connection with Krishna, and can serve in a specific way that no other person can. And this is why every devotee is so special to Krishna. Why every devotee is, very valuable to the Lord. And every devotee is an eternal servant of the Lord. Every person, every living entity is an eternal servant of the Lord. So, Indra Prabhu was saying that Krishna is missing us. He has no pain in this world. He has no suffering in this world. Except Krishna's only pain is his feeling of separation from his lost children. And this is why those who bring these lost children back to Krishna, those who are bringing these souls back to Krishna, they are the most dear servants of the Lord. This is why Krishna in the Gita says, and this is the, you could say, the confidential meaning um, uh, of the verse. He says, Nacha tasmat manusheshu kaschid yadati siddhaye. That in this world there's no servant more dear, and there will never be a more servant who is more dear than he who gives this message to others, who preaches the message of Gita to others. So why does Krishna say that? Because this is the nature. This is the nature of the Lord. That this is his only suffering. This is his only pain. Is separation from his living entities, from his children, from his devotees, who are now lost for some time. So if a soul is removing that suffering, if a soul is removing the pain of the Lord, then that soul is most dear to the Lord. And this is why the devotees of the Lord are more dear than the Lord himself. This is why the devotees of the Lord are more special than the Lord himself. And this is why service to the devotees of the Lord, serving a devotee, is more important than serving the Lord. Yes, we're all very eager to serve the Lord, but Krishna says that my devotee is not my devotee, but the devotees of my devotees, they are my devotees. When we serve the devotees of the Lord, is there in the, I think this is the Skanda Purana or the Padma Purana, I cannot remember, maybe someone remembers, but he says the devotees of my devotees, they are my devotees. Because the Lord is most grateful to his devotees, because they are removing his suffering. And therefore, when we serve these devotees of the Lord, Krishna is very, very pleased, and Krishna is very, very kind on all of this. So therefore, we must always remember this very important principle. We must always remember this very important. We must never forget this, that how loving Krishna is to his souls, to his condition, to every living entity. And therefore, every living entity, especially the devotees, but every living entity, has to be treated with love and respect. And if we serve the devotees with love, Krishna is so pleased. And if we serve every living entity, then that's also a way of serving the Lord. But how do we serve the living entities? We serve the living entities by giving them Krishna consciousness. So the devotee is loving every living entity. How? Because if it's a devotee, then he's serving the devotee. But if it's a non-devotee, then he's serving them by bringing them back to Krishna. When we are preaching to someone, then we're serving them. It's a service. We have to think, it's not that we're their masters when we're preaching to them, but we are their servants, because we're serving them by making them happy, by helping them revive their Krishna consciousness. And here we see that how affectionate Lord Krishna is to Duryodhana. He was not happy to see him in this situation. Many people blame Lord Krishna that, he was partial to the Pandavas. He made the Pandavas his friends, but Duryodhana was not his friend. And but God is supposed to be impartial. So why Krishna was not impartial? It seems he is partial. But this verse proves that Krishna is impartial. He is completely impartial. He was acting in one way with Duryodhana to uplift him. The way to uplift him was to punish him. And he was acting in one way with the Pandavas to uplift them. Because they're his devotees, he had to act out of love to do that. Krishna says in the Gita, of ways of suppressing lawlessness, he said, I am punishment. It is true that we ask the question, why does Krishna give so much suffering? Why does he allow? Because it is true that simply by the process of experiencing suffering in this world, the soul learns so much. Ultimately, that's what relieves us of our false ego. we hear so much philosophy. We may get the association of devotees. We understand so many things, but until and unless Krishna doesn't chastise us, he doesn't sometimes give the living entity difficulty, we still don't come to Krishna. And this is why you'll see that many people who come to Krishna, I would say most people who come to Krishna, they generally come because of some life experience, some difficulty in their life that woke them up. So how can one say that suffering was not a benediction? That was a benediction. That was Krishna's loving hand, because he loves us so much. Therefore, he gave us that difficulty. Because unless Krishna, gives us the school of hard knocks, we don't understand. We don't come to our senses. Human life is said to be the most valuable form of life, because it has the right balance of suffering and happiness. Those who are in the heavenly planets, they're actually more advanced than us. They're more spiritually evolved than us. But because there's so much happiness there, there's so much bliss there, there's all this heavenly enjoyment, the living entities won't get serious in their Krishna consciousness. It's too much pleasure. Hellish planets, there's so much pain. There's so much pain you cannot think of God. So human life has that balance. And sometimes even in human life, there's too much pain. People cannot think of God. And we may ask, why is God doing this? Well, again, because Krishna knows that this is what the soul ultimately needs to wake him up, to bring him back to him. So ultimately, Maya, actually the word Maya means mother. Maya comes from the root ma, which means, you all know the word ma. Ma means mother. People say ma also means measure, but that's a later translation, later derivation. The most basic meaning of ma means mother. So Maya is the energy of the Lord that creates. A mother creates. But how does a mother create? How does a mother develop the child? Through love, through nurturing. So even Maya is the loving hand of the Lord. Even Maya is the Lord's love. But that love is being given to us because we are distant in a very kind of distant way. That love is there, but I mean, it's just a general thing to bring us to Krishna. But when the devotee suffers and goes through some difficulty, then that is personally the Lord's hand. And when it's not just Maya, but it's directly the Lord, when he's guiding us, then that we will get that, but we will see there's a loving hand there. There's Krishna also guiding us. It's a very sweet reciprocation. There's a very nice verse, right, in the Bhagavatam. Mahajana yena gatas pantha, but then also there's this verse, I'm forgetting how it starts, where the Mahatmas, they can cut the heart, cut the knot in the heart, not cut the heart, cut the knot in the heart and relieve us, right? So when the great souls, when they cut that knot in our heart, they're actually doing us a great service. They're actually relieving us of that knot in the heart. And at that point, it's a little painful, it pinches. When they do it, then we can feel and we accept it, we surrender to it. Then we feel their love. We can feel that how they're actually uplifting us. By that chastisement, they're uplifting us. So just like we were saying, the Lord, he relates differently with different living entities to uplift them. So Duryodhana, he related in a certain way to uplift him. Pandavas in a certain way to uplift them. One was apparently love, the other was punishment, but both are love. In the same way, the devotee or spiritual master, for example, they also relate with us in a way that uplifts us. To one disciple, they'll chastise. To another disciple, they will raise them high, give them affection, praise them. Why are they being impartial? They can understand this chastisement, not punishment, but chastisement. And this disciple, this devotee, not just disciple, to all the devotees, this devotee needs encouragement at this time. Just like a parent, same mother. Sometimes the mother will chastise the child because they say this child is being too naughty. Someone has to set him straight. So they chastise. That chastisement is also love. And sometimes she'll kiss the child and hug them. Now the child is crying, is feeling lost, or do that. Sometimes when the child is grown up, then even when they're crying, they will not show affection. You teach them a very deep lesson. How does the mother know? Because the mother knows. In the same way, the Mahatma is given that vision by Krishna, where they can look through the heart. They can immediately understand, what does this devotee need? And accordingly, they will give that instruction. And that's why the Mahatmas can do for us what even the Lord cannot, because they can see within the heart and they can uplift the devotee and bring them to Krishna. But the Mahatmas are also the hands and legs of the Lord. It's said that Krishna's compassion, Krishna's mercy manifest. So his compassion incarnation are the Vaishnavas. So we say, okay, the Lord, when he appears in so many different forms. What's his form of compassion? His form of just mercy. That is a devotee. It's actually the Lord's incarnation, mercy incarnation, that manifests through the devotees. So this is why disregarding the sadhus is a problem in our spiritual life, because then we're disregarding the mercy of the Lord. Right? The Mahatmas, they're the Lord's associates. So here we see the compassion of Krishna, that Duryodhana is caused him so much headache, but now that he's been subdued, the Lord is feeling unhappy that I had to do this task. I had to do this thankless task to strain him. But the Lord ultimately wants to see us happy, and he's feeling in his heart that he's just waiting. When will Duryodhana become my pure devotee? In the same way, he's also waiting. When will we become his pure devotees? So therefore, finally, if we preach Krishna consciousness, if we serve the Mahatmas, then Krishna is most pleased, because this is his only pain. And if we are bringing the souls back to Krishna, he's very happy. Or if we're serving those Mahatmas who are bringing souls back to Krishna, it's the same thing, because we're helping those who are bringing them back. And this doesn't have to be even a great, soul, a great devotee, but even other devotees. If a devotee is preaching nicely, and if we assist that devotee, if we serve that devotee, then Krishna becomes so happy. Then we are also preaching. Because we are helping the preacher, so we are also preaching. There's one verse in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where in the purport, Prabhupada says that not everyone can become a spiritual master. Not everyone can become a guru, a sannyasi. But everyone can serve the spiritual master. Everyone can serve the devotee. And if a person sincerely serves the devotee, if the disciple, Prabhupada says, serves the spiritual master, they will get the same destination as the spiritual master. So they cannot be the spiritual master. Krishna has not invested that potency in everyone. Only a few souls are very, very dedicated and they are self-realized. But if we serve those who are self-realized, we will get the same destination, Prabhupada says. So that's why all of us, this whole movement, we're just trying to serve Srila Prabhupada. And his devotees are trying to serve him, and we are trying to serve those who are serving Srila Prabhupada. And like the servant of the servant of the servant, this is our goal in life, to become the servant of the servant of the servant. And however we serve, if we are engaged in that preaching mission, then we get the same destination. We don't have to be a great well-known person. If we serve them, we are guaranteed liberation. And so many times in our life, we will actually see that if we want to be a good cook, right? We want to serve Krishna very nicely by cooking very delicious items. If we help those who are very good cooks for the Lord, if we serve them, we will also become a very good cook. If we want to be a book distributor, if we assist the book distributors who are dedicated, then we will also become like that. If we if we want to be a nice kirtan leader, if we, in everything, in every process, we have desires and we want to serve like other devotees. It's very nice. And if we serve those who are doing that service, we get that same benediction. So I'll stop here and see if there's any comments, corrections, questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I can see how you are serving, sitting in the car. So that itself shows that how you are serving. So I want to serve you. In that way, I'll also get some, whatever that fraction of some pure love, like what you have. So that's what my understanding. By saying, hearing you, seeing you, that's the most important. How to serve the devotees. We have to come to a realization. I have to come to a realization that serving a devotee is better than anything else. So I was just in the other class. Just a reflection. Rutrasur, he is asking Indra to kill him as soon as possible so that he can go back to Godhead. Indra wants to stay and he'll be victorious. With Dharma, Harta, Kama, Moksha, he's having fun. That means he is victorious. But who is victorious? Right? But on that context, recently we heard that why Prahlad Maharaj and Hanuman, they're all still in the same different varshas because they want to preach and they are not interested to go back, but they're actually interested to send everybody back, like Ramanujacharya. Even though he got the initiation mantra, he said, let me give to everyone. I don't care about myself. So this is the consciousness of a devotee. If at all we want to become a devotee, he is that is the consciousness we should have. But how can I become Ramanujacharya? Can I become Rutrasur? Can I become Prabhupada? No. At least serve the devotees who are doing that way. In that way, we'll also get some little bit whatever that prema. Right?
Yeah, so thank you. This is such a nice point that you made. Well, first of all, I want to say that if we can just serve you, Prabhu, we'll be so fortunate. So I'm very novice, and you're setting the example. Actually, so wonderfully. The service that you do for Radha Madhav is so exemplary, and also this point that you're bringing in is so nice. Actually, that because these great devotees, they know that Krishna's only pain in his heart is that the souls, he's missing the souls who have left him. For that reason, they're not willing to go back home, back to Godhead. They want to stay in this world to liberate those who are left behind, to liberate the souls. And you gave the example of Lord Hanuman. The Lord Ram went back to Saket, but why did Hanuman decide to stay here? It's such an amazing connection, actually, that you made. He's a perfect example. He's staying here in what is it? Was it Kim Purusha Loka or which one was it?
Yeah, Kim Purusha Varsha.
Kim Purusha Varsha. He's staying there to liberate the souls there, to give them Lord Ram's devotional service. In the same way, Prahlad Maharaj said the same thing, that I'm not interested in going to the forest. I want to stay in the cities and preach Krishna consciousness to bring these souls back to you. And similarly, Vritasura, he's saying, I want to go back home, back to Godhead. That's true. But his main thing is that I don't want to, like Indra, I don't want to be a devotee here enjoying this material world. I want to go back to the Lord to start to serve him. And he too, through his words, even while fighting, he's preaching Krishna consciousness. He's glorifying the Lord, and he's showing the world, all the demons. All the demons are watching him. He's the head of the demons. He's telling them that the ultimate goal of life is to go back to Krishna. So even then, at his final moment, he's still preaching. So these are these are perfect examples, actually, that you gave.
Prabhu, another one on the Adivas ceremony, His Holiness Jopadak Maharaj was telling. I'll not take much time. I'll take only half a minute. When Lord Chaitanya asked everyone to become a guru, That means, what does that mean? That means you take that very seriously and preach Krishna consciousness. So he spoke to Sarang Thakur, what are you doing? And then he said, oh, Lord Chaitanya has told me something, let me do. Then he goes to the Ganges next day, and something came and hit him. And actually, the one which hit him was nothing other than the dead body. And then what he said, maybe I should preach. So he went to the, on the ears of the dead body, he chanted the mantra, Hare Krishna mantra. That means initiating the first disciple, dead body. Immediately, the dead body woke up. That dead immediately woke up. And that dead body made thousands of disciples. Wow. So, and then Maharaj was telling how to become a guru. Read Prabhupada books, become Bhakti Shastri, become by Bhakti Abhav. That means you have to read all the books to get the knowledge so that you can preach. Not that I want to get knowledge for myself. No, to preach. So that is most important rather than anything else. That's what Maharaj was telling.
Yes. Wow. No, very nice point, actually. And see, we think guru means guru, like, but one who preaches, that is guru, right? So when we are sharing Krishna consciousness with others, when we're teaching others about Krishna consciousness and helping them in their spiritual life, then that is what Lord Chaitanya wanted. Yare dekha tarako Krishna Upadesh. Wherever you go, share this message of Krishna. So every single one of us must become guru. Every single one of us, because we have our families, we have our communities, we can preach to them. Yes. That's really, and you mentioned His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj's Vyas Puja. And since it just came on it was a Saturday.
Ekadashi after Ramnavami, yeah.
Ekadashi. I mean, he's such a, we can take 1 minute and just glorify him that, I mean, he has 70,000 disciples, and the amazing thing is his mood is so much like Lord Nityananda. Like, he's just so giving. Like, anyone who met him, he's just like, he will sacrifice everything for of himself for others. And he's actually the example. And I heard one place, you can confirm this, Prabhu, that Srila Prabhupada, his Guru Maharaj, said that I don't want to see your face until you have 100,000 disciples. So even he is accepting so many devotees, disciples, but he's doing that simply because Srila Prabhupada ordered him to.
No, actually, Prabhupada said at least 50,000.
Wow, at least 50,000.
So he crossed beyond. He crossed that. Wow. He crossed 50,000, and for the Vyasa Puja, around 15,000 people came to Mayapur for his Vyasa Puja. Anyway, the next year is 75th birthday, so they are targeting 50,000 disciples to be there in the Mayapur. Wow. For the Vyasa Puja. So that's not the point. Basically, the point is how we become. He was telling in New Vrindavan, he came. He said, if one person makes 1% devotee in 1 year, and think about how many people you can make in your life. He did not say thousands. He said one devotee in 1 year.
Wow. Wow. Yes. This is actually very true. This is a nice goal.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yes. Actually, this was, it's interesting you're saying this, because this is a goal for many devotees that make one devotee every year. It's a very nice meditation to have. Other comments, questions? Anyone else? Any other thoughts? Okay, it's 8:13. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. I was just thinking about your first point about the Lord doesn't really want us to suffer in this world, right? His intention is to get us back to Him. So I was just thinking, Prabhu, from that perspective, and I think from the devotee's perspective, Lord's hand is personally there, right? He wanted to, sometimes it looks like maybe a devotee or a non-devotee, right? Even a person, a complete army. So it looks like they're going far away from the Lord because of those, the challenges in the life, right? So
Yes.
how do we understand that, Prabhu? Maybe, I mean, I know Lord knows better than us, but it's hard to understand those things. Maybe
Yes.
if you can just help.
Yes, Prabhu. Actually, you bring up a good point. So so uh, to start with, therefore, our pain, the living entity's pain, is the Lord's pain. The Lord, though he, like Prabhupada is saying in the purport, he's as strong as a thunderbolt, but he he does it. What's the word? He does it. It's he does it reluctantly. That what to do? I have to do this, but he doesn't want to. He wants to see us happy, right? He wants to give us pleasure. So in the same way, your example that you're saying, that how someone gets drawn away, uh, that's because there's something that the soul needs to learn. There's some mistake that we're doing. So Krishna gives us that that chastisement, and then it may take that soul some time to uh, to to accept it as the Lord's mercy. That is part of the purification. So to give you an example, like um, sometimes we come to Krishna consciousness and we start thinking, well, maybe that actually my material life is better. That I've come to Krishna consciousness, but what are all these devotees? And every day there's dal roti sabji, and I'm missing the pizza, I'm missing the vegan restaurants, and I'm missing this and that. It's better I should go back to my old ways. So a devotee may become frustrated. They may go. So there's one devotee like this. He was serving in the temple, and he was actually a pujari, very dedicated in Vrindavan temple, and he left. Something happened there. There's some problem. Someone accused him of something, and on that pretext, he left. And many years he was wandering here and there, and trying out his material life. And then one time he was in a city where there was a festival happening. And of course, his material life he ultimately was getting frustrated. He was getting miserable more and more. Then he came to the temple, and some friend called him and said, "No, you must come. You must." He said, "No, I've done that. I don't want to go to the temple." He said, "No, you must come. You must come." So he came, and there he happened to come at the time when Srila Prabhupada's Guru Puja was going on. And as the fan was being done of Srila Prabhupada, the Chamar fan, all of his memories of years of service in Vrindavan as a pujari there, we came back, and he started to cry. He started to cry. And before, when he left, he was thinking, oh, this spiritual life that I had, this was just a dream, a few years bad dream that I had. But then when he came back, he realized this material life, when I left Krishna for a few years, that was the bad dream. Right? So Krishna knows that this is what we need uh, to, again, value or fulfill any material desires that we have. And therefore, he lets us. Like some lifetimes, not just in the case of devotees, but in one lifetime, sometimes children are born in a vegetative state. They live for a few months and they die. So why that soul was there? What was Krishna teaching him? So some lifetimes, even a whole lifetime, can be just a learning experience where we don't make conscious advancement, but we're advancing by that experience, so that in our next life, we start from where we left off. So again, a devotee may leave, we may not even see him. But then in his next life, he'll continue. So there's no, we're always on the path. There's no point when we actually leave Krishna consciousness.
That's true. Thank you. No, I was just thinking, I mean, that's nice. Yeah, I was just thinking if that person doesn't even come in this life, maybe I was just looking at maybe there is a starting and then ending, right? This life. So, I mean, but if it happens in the next life, that of course I don't know, right? So the Krishna knows
Yes.
that. So maybe that is the.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, actually, see, that's the thing. Krishna's point of view is so vast. We sometimes we cannot realize it. And so it's very confusing the way Krishna works. It's very confusing. And you think, how can Krishna do this? This devotee is so sincere. But see, we're not seeing the previous lives, we're not seeing the future lives.
Yeah.
And many times the devotees who are most sincere, they'll go through the most difficulty, and that's because it's their last life. And so Krishna's like every single anartha, desire, whatever they have, Krishna's purifying it.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yes. So we cannot judge a devotee's fortune or misfortune from the externals. And we sometimes make this mistake. Actually, we say, oh, this devotee, see, he's lost, he's in Maya, or this devotee, look, they got so sick, or they must, but we don't know what's going on inside, you see. And there's one very quick thing. There's this one devotee who used to drive a truck, and this crazy man was drunk or something. He was driving 120 miles an hour, and he smashed into his truck. And so this devotee got paralyzed for life. And this man was obviously crazy who did that. Then he was an alcoholic. Again, he got into an accident and he died. So this news came to this devotee, and this devotee heard that this man who had hurt him, basically ruined his life in some ways, who had hurt him, this man had died. And the devotees who told him this news, they were so amazed because they told them this because they thought, well, finally justice is done. When they told them this news, he was genuinely very sad when he heard it. Not sad, he wasn't happy. He was like, okay, he's died. And I was thinking here, that came to mind, the same mood of the Lord, that the Lord is punishing us or sees us as, getting our just reaction, but he's not happy. Because this devotee, so externally he had been in an accident, he was now paralyzed, he was in a wheelchair. But in his heart, the devotees could understand he's made so much advancement. Because normally a person would feel happy that the person who hurt me got the reaction. This person, see, now they're suffering. They hurt me, now they're suffering. But his heart was so purified. When he heard that, he wasn't happy at all. He was feeling that, oh, this person is now, suffering, or this person suffered. So externally, he was misfortunate, but Krishna internally made him the most fortunate devotee. Like he became completely liberated by that experience.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, very nice. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. I think it's time to stop now. It's 8:20. Thank you for your Hare Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Thank you.